What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is another episode of Melanin Militant. Today I'm going to do a review of the film Queen and Slim, written and produced by Melina Matsoukas and Lena Waithe, and starring Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith. Before I get started, as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and check the link in the description down below to see where I got my black-owned apparel. First off, before I say anything about this film, let me just say thank you. Thank you to Lena Waithe and Melina Matsoukas, anyone else who helped make this film happen, all the other creators of this film. You know, these are the type of movies that I've been dying to see. This was a beautiful film. You know, you got great black leads with a great storyline, great symbolism, lots of relatability, and a great soundtrack, which is something that I think is actually really overlooked and forgotten about when it comes to movies. I have long expressed my disdain for the continuation of making slavery movies or any other type of, or any other form of media that just doesn't display black people in a positive light. We don't need to keep making slavery movies. We know that story. It's time for us to do something else, and we're able to do other things, and this movie proves it. So, you know, this movie just was super relatable. You know, it didn't have anything to do with gangs or drugs or guns, nothing like that. You know, it was pure art. There wasn't a stereotype in sight, and that's what I really appreciate about this movie. So the film stars Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith, who at the beginning are just two strangers who go on a Tinder date. After they have dinner, they get pulled over by an egregiously racist white police officer who just ends up abusing his power, going way overboard with this seemingly regular traffic stop. So much so to the point that a physical altercation breaks out, and in self-defense, Daniel Kaluuya's character takes the police officer's gun, shoots and kills him, and from right there the film just takes off. The first thing that I noticed after the killing of the police officer is immediately Jodie Turner-Smith's character, Queen. She's an attorney in the film, but she immediately is saying, we gotta go on the run. We gotta, you know, we have to get out of here. There is no turning back. We can't turn ourselves in. And I find that interesting because she's the attorney, but I think the reason she has that mindset of we need to go on a run and, you know, forget all this trying to turn ourselves in type of stuff and knowing that there's no way they can turn back and live a normal life again is the fact that she is an attorney. So she knows what the criminal justice system has done and can do to black and brown people. And then just add that with, you know, what their situation is. They're both complicit in killing a white police officer. So, you know, it's a little ironic that she's the lawyer and she's the one that's immediately embracing this going on the run type of situation, but I think that's due to her experience. I think the people who think the film was boring are ones that went into it thinking this was going to be some type of social, political movement kind of movie, or sort of a Black Bonnie and Clyde type of film, but those, you know, descriptions don't really do justice for this film. This is really like a love story that occurs over 2 to 3 days. It's a tale of love manifesting even in the most disastrous and unexpected circumstances. You know, the focus is basically on these two strangers and this journey that the two of them would have never fathomed ever taking place. So if you expected this like political revolution or a Black Bonnie and Clyde type of adventure movie, that's not really what it is. I even went into it expecting that from the get-go, but was still, you know, satisfied with what the movie actually turned out to be. So you can see the two of them kind of embrace this on-the-run type of deal that they're in, and it's just a story with layers that keep unfolding as the movie moves along. And the reason I was still so satisfied with this film is just because it's completely different from what we typically see with you know, movies starring black people. You know, like I've already said, we don't need the same recycled nonsense. You know, we are capable of doing more when it comes to creating art, and this movie proves that. And I feel like you're kind of seeing somewhat of a paradigm shift when it comes to black cinema, because you have other examples of movies that don't have to deal with, you know, just stereotypical things about black people. You know, some of those are The Hate You Give, Black and Blue, Jordan Peele's Us, 21 Bridges starring Chadwick Boseman. All great films with black leads, not exhibiting any type of negativity about black people, no stereotypes. There's no white saviors or token black guys there for comedic relief. And, like I said, we're kind of witnessing an evolution when it comes to black cinema and all types of black media. What also makes this movie so great is the deep symbolism and the extreme relatability to this movie. So the opening scene where Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith are they're out to dinner and then they get pulled over. They're in the city of Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio is where young Tamir Rice was murdered by a white police officer. He was just I believe, 9 or 11-year-old boy playing with a toy gun in a local park, and he was gunned down for absolutely no reason. So the city of Cleveland, Ohio, somewhat plays as an Easter egg in this film, and that setting is somewhat of a character itself. More symbolism you can find throughout the movie. Later on, right before they get to their destination where they're going to fly to Cuba, right before they get to Florida, and they want to have that second date that Slim keeps talking about, they stop at that bar in Tennessee, and this bar kind of serves as a safe haven for them. They get a minute to just relax and not have to worry about these, the police that are coming for them. All the patrons in the bar know who they are because at this point, there's APBs out there for them. They've been on the news. The dash cam footage is out there. People know who they are. They already have the name Queen and Slim now. They're somewhat of a internet phenomena at this point. So the patrons in the bar, they know exactly who they are, but they don't say a word. And, this is just the essence of black community. They're looking out for these two black people. They weren't quick to judge them and just think, they need to be brought in. They didn't, think they need to be persecuted. They allowed them to have their moment, gave them their peace. They had their backs, which is just what the essence of the black community is supposed to be like. It's how, just us looking out for one another. Another thing, if you notice, the names Queen and Slim are actually never spoken in the film. It's not until the very end when you hear, in the background, you hear a news anchor, telling the story of how they've been gunned down and, tell you how they took on this internet phenomena persona as, the duo Queen and Slim. And you actually never hear their real names either. And the reason for that is that Lena Waithe and the other creators of the film wanted us to see them, wanted us to see ourselves in these characters. They didn't want to put a name to them because they wanted to be as relatable as possible. So their names are never spoken. And when they are, we actually find out that Queen's real name is Angela Johnson, who was actually named after Angela Davis, the very famous Black Panther Party member. So, which is just a great nod to a great black figure. We also see in the film this continued theme of religion. If you notice Slim's car, the tag on the back, his license plate says "Trust God." We see him pray before every meal. He even asks Queen if she is religious, and we learn that she's an atheist. And we just see his devout faith throughout the entire film. And this just serves as great relatability when it comes to the black community because that has been a pillar of our community, religion. Religion has been the backbone to a lot of our families, to our community as a whole. We've often relied on religion, and in some people's opinion, religion and devout faith has actually crippled us. But it, whether you believe or not in any type of spirituality, it's still extremely relatable because you know what it's like to be, you know what it's like to grow up in a black household and have extremely devout parents, or you know what it's like to absolutely have no faith. Another nod to a great black figure, the scene when Queen and Slim are in the car, in the garage, and are waiting out these police officers to see if they can actually get away from them. I believe Queen, she cries out in pain because her shoulder got dislocated when they jumped out the window, and then Slim has to pop her shoulder back in. The young black police officer hears the sound, he goes and checks it out, and he lifts up the garage door, and he sees them waiting in the car. And there's kind of this moment of oh shit, what's he gonna do? And he ends up letting them go. Well, that police officer, he actually originally didn't have a name in the film. The film creators just had him as cop number 2. But as the film went on, as development went on, they ended up naming him Langston, named after Langston Hughes, the great black poet and social activist. So just another great nod to a great black figure. Probably the biggest example of symbolism in this film is the very end when the dude down in Florida ends up turning on Queen and Slim, turning them in for the prize money, like the 250 grand or whatever it was, for their capture, turns them into the police, which ultimately leads to their death. But this guy doing what he did, he gained their trust and then got them all the way to where he needed to get them. And then at that very end, you see that twist when the police cars come around the tarmac right before they're going to get on the plane. So this whole act, his actions are just a symbol of America's capitalism and how it has actually turned some of us against one another. And it really served as, a huge twist, which just made the movie even better, and just more relatability, showing that how some black people, we could easily, or we will easily turn on one another, all just for the mighty dollar. Now, something I alluded to before that I actually want to get a little more into was the soundtrack. I said, soundtracks are often overlooked when it comes to a movie. I wholeheartedly believe that. And I just feel like the soundtrack for this movie in particular, each song fits each scene really well. And it just, each song really intensifies whatever emotion is invoked from you by each scene. And one song in particular actually sums up the entire movie perfectly, and it's actually my favorite song on the soundtrack. It's the song Collide, performed by Earth Gang and Tiana Major 9. So I just want to read the first verse and the first hook, just so in case you haven't listened to the soundtrack, you can really get a feel for what I'm trying to explain. So the song starts with, everybody's got opinions on our thing. Say we're flying down a path with no ending. And if I die before I wake, oh, don't let me wake up from this dream. When we collide, it's a beautiful disaster. When I crash into you. Crash into you. Those words right there, to me, is exactly what this movie is. Like I said, if you thought this was a political revolution movie, or you thought this was Black Bonnie and Clyde adventure, and it was going to be, maybe like kind of fast-paced action, I don't know. If you just had something else other than what the actual film was going to be in your mind, then this song can actually do a good job of explaining it to you. It's exactly what the lyrics say. It's a beautiful disaster. It's two people on this collision course. They come together and something beautiful comes out of it. You see the love that is formed between these two people who were just strangers at the beginning. Queen was talking about they weren't even going to go on a second date. So, you know what I mean? Like, imagine what would have actually happened if they didn't even run into that police officer, if they never got pulled over. Would they have really gone on a second date? We'll never know. But, it just showed love manifesting in chaos, honestly. So, that's why I think soundtracks are so important. They really sum up the song really well, or they sum up the movie really well. And this is probably one of the best soundtracks to any movie that I've seen in a long time. All in all, I'd probably give this movie a 5 out of 5 stars. And I really mean that. And it's not just because, it was black people, made by black people, starring black people. It just was a good film, man. Flat out, it was art. It's just a bonus that, it was made by black people, starring black people. The performances were stellar by Daniel Kaluuya, Jodie Turner-Smith, even Bokeem Woodbine's crazy Uncle Earl character. I recommend this movie to everyone. I feel like it's required of all black people to go see this film. These are the things we need to be putting our money into. I made videos and made many social media posts about, shows like Love and Hip Hop or Black Ink that make us look bad. Well, how about we actually start investing into the ones that make us look good? This film was straight up art. I just want to see a lot more of this on the silver screen. I want to see a lot more of this on TV. So go check it out if you have not seen it. An amazing movie. Thank you again to Lena Waithe, Melina Matsoukas, everybody in this film. It was amazing. I can't wait to see more films like this. Let me know what you guys thought about the film in the comments down below. And thank you guys for watching.